So in this example, I just want to show you how to quickly create a random image generator. So I've set up the sketch for you here, but I'm just going to walk through and give you sort of a brief description of how it works, and then I'll do a walkthrough of a new one. So here, the first step is you have to create an empty array to store your images. So I need to create an array, which is a collection of any set of data. It could be numbers, could be strings, but in our case, we're doing it with images. So I do a variable name. In this case, I'm doing an array of eyes. So I'm going to call it eyes. And then the empty brackets. And notice these are square brackets, and this means create an empty array. And this is the easiest way to do it. It's not the most efficient, but I think it's pretty straightforward. Inside this preload function, which runs before your entire sketch goes, we're going to load our images here into the array. And so the first step is to create a new variable called I1, and then we say it's equal to load image. And load image is going to load our image name. And so we're storing this image inside a variable. And this image was loaded into the sketch by doing either the drop down here, where we can do add file, or going to sketch, add file. And I can see my images over here on the side. We don't see previews, but I know that that's what I uploaded. So I1 is going to equal load image, and then have this one. I2 is going to load image in this one. I3 load image and load this one. The next step is we then load those images into our array. So my array name was eyes, and here I'm going to put inside of it the first image, the second image, and the third image, and they're all separated by commas. I then close out the bracket for the preload function. There's some other options in here, which are other ways of loading the image that you can look at and see if they work for you, but I'm going to keep going. In setup, all we're doing is creating the canvas and calling no loop. And then inside draw is where we then call the random image. So I created a variable called random image or rando image, and I'm using the random function to call the point inside the array. So I'm putting my array called eyes, which, if you remember, stores my 3 different eyes. And when this random function runs, it'll choose one of the elements from inside the array at random. I then draw the image to the screen using the image function, where the first argument is the image, second one is the x position, and the third one is the y position. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking this variable which has a random element from my array and using it inside the image, so that when this runs, I'll get a random color each time. Sometimes it may show me the same one a couple times, because remember, it is random. If I turned off no loop, then this would go kind of crazy, like this. That's why I turned on no loop. So it's the basics of storing an image inside an array and calling it randomly.